What's up, beautiful humans? Today I want to share my plan for making $1 million profit in less than 15 hours a week. But more importantly, I want to share the question that you need to answer to determine the best business model for you in 2023. So flashback to last year without recapping all the details. I've been asking some deep questions. I came into 2022 feeling pretty burnt out. I was convinced that it must have been the amount of work I was doing and everything else was fine. And so I drastically reduced that work. And I went from working, 40, 50 hours a week down to 12 hours a week. I turned off marketing and sales for a good portion of last year. And despite my best efforts, I still ended the year feeling unsatisfied, unfulfilled in the work I was doing. I realized along the journey that it wasn't just the amount of hours I was working, it was what I was doing in the hours of that work. And ultimately, it came down to the type of business model that I had. I was coming at everything from a perspective of more and bigger. And I want to share an analogy and kind of like a way of thinking that I think most of us need to unlearn when it comes to our business. So for those of you who are listening, I'm holding a plant here. Got a nice little pot plant here. And the thing that we know to track when it comes to the health of living things, plants, human beings, is ultimately if this plant has the right ingredients of sun and soil and oxygen and water, this should grow bigger, right? It should grow up, it should grow out. That is the sign of health, right? I have two sons. I have a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old. They are both bigger than when they were 1, 2, right? My 6-year-old is bigger than when he was 4, and so on. And not only that, there are milestones that these kids are reaching. Thank goodness, right? The 3-year-old is potty trained, right? They went from lying on their stomachs to learning how to crawl, to walking, to running. My 6-year-old is focused in on spelling and writing and reading and maths and all of those things. These are all signs of life that exist in so much of the universe. When we want to see the health of something, we can look at what's happening in and around it, right? Is it growing bigger? Is it getting healthier? Are milestones being reached? When it comes to business, we fall into the trap of thinking that business must be like everything else. And in order for us to be moving forward, things must be getting bigger. And in order for business to be getting healthier, there needs to be more and more and more. So let me give you an example. You come into business and you're a solopreneur. If you stay a solopreneur, for many of us, that feels like a sign of failure, right? Because the sign of progress in your business is that you add in more, that things get bigger. And so at the start, you're the person who does the sales, but if things go well, right, then you're going to manage the person who does the sales. You might do the coaching at the start, selling time for money. That's bad. I love my stupid role play voice. Anyway, we know that's the thing we want to get away from. And then the goal is to then manage the person who's doing the coaching. We might have a team of 2 now or a team of 5 now. The goal, if everything goes well, according to this kind of rule of the universe, is that things should be bigger a year from now. More revenue, bigger team, right? And what this means, which we don't always like, is that it's then going to be more team meetings. We got to figure out how to have team processes and so on and so forth. And one of the things that happens for a lot of entrepreneurs, and I mean a lot of entrepreneurs, especially in the coaching and consulting space, is they end up stuck in businesses they hate. They go down this path of more and bigger, and they find themselves less and less fulfilled. And it's because it comes down to how we ask or answer this one question. And so if you're trying to figure out what business model you want to have in 2023 and beyond, this is the question you have to ask for yourself. And this is what's led me to this business model that I believe will lead me to $1 million in profit this year. Am I trying to build my life around my business, or am I trying to build my business around my life? Let me say that again. Am I building my life around my business, or am I building my business around my life? See, one of the mistakes or traps that we fall into is we take advice from people who have very different goals than us. Like I can think of a number of different people that are in our space that most of us can listen to. We see their content, we love their training, And these people are trying to be billionaires, right? And so if you take their advice through the lens of they really couldn't care less how they feel about their business, meaning they're not trying to build their business around their life. They're not trying to figure out how to have 4 great holidays a year or spend time with their kids or whatever, but they're trying to make a dent in the universe and freaking change an industry and become a billionaire and all of that. That's a very different lens, and it will lead to very different decisions than someone maybe like me or maybe like you who's absolutely trying to have a great business that's profitable, that makes an impact, but doing it in such a way that makes your life better and not worse. And so one of the things that I've realized is that in order for us to have the business that we want, in order for us to have a business that as it gets bigger, life gets better, we first need to understand, are we trying to build a business around our life or a life around a business? And the answer to that question will lead us to 2 places. And this is what I found, and this is what's led me to this model. If you're trying to build your life around your business, meaning like if your goal is impact, then you absolutely should be thinking in terms of more and bigger, right? Just like the plant, just like the human being, we're trying to maximize growth. We're trying to optimize development. We're trying to go from team of 5 to team of 10 to team of 15 to, $500,000 a year to $1 million a year to $5 million a year and beyond. And there's nothing wrong with that. I have no judgment if that is your goal. That's amazing. For me, however, I'm trying to go as far as I can with my business without it compromising my lifestyle. Meaning like I'm a dad. Like I'm married. I've been married for 10 years. I've got a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old. This year, I'm trying to become the healthiest version of me that I could ever be. So there are so many things that I am not willing to sacrifice, right? There are so many things that come before me just simply having a bigger and bigger business. And so I came into this year after going through everything I went through in 2022, doing the soul searching, asking these big questions. And the first thing it led me to was this idea of the business model, which is I was then looking at things through the lens of, okay, if it's not about more and bigger, then what is it about? And I started reading this book called Company of One. Now, I can't recommend the book as if it's an amazing book. I'm right at the start of it. But in this book, Company of One, where the book is not just about, having a solopreneur company, it's about this whole mentality. The quote says this: for companies of one, the question is always, what can I do to make my business better? Instead of what can I do to grow my business larger? Catch that nuance. It's very important. The question is always, what can I do to make my business better? Instead of what can I do to grow my business larger? And so this brings me to what my model looks like coming into 2023 and how I plan to make $1 million in profit, which will be the most amount of profit I've ever made in business, even when I was making millions in revenue. Right now, if I paint the picture of what things were, right, it was big team, lots of marketing, paid ads, funnels, selling via a sales calls. We had appointment setters, we had closers. Then in order to fulfill the people that we were selling, we had coaches, we had a client concierge, we had lots of support calls every week. We had lots of content. I was creating lots of new content. We had one-to-one coaching. We had a group like Facebook community. And there was a lot of moving pieces, right? More and bigger. And coming into this year, realizing, okay, I'm trying to build a business around my life, not the other way around. How do I do less but better? How do I optimize for profit, for fun, for client results? And so now what my business looks like is it's better than it's ever been, right? Thank goodness. But it's also led me to make some really hard and big decisions. So one of them is I let go of all of my team, apart from just me and a virtual assistant. But that's not just out of I didn't have money or they weren't performing. It's because I simplified the model so much that I realized that everything else was extra and that I could actually get away with just me and a virtual assistant right now. And so in terms of marketing, I create videos like this, and then we redistribute them on a couple of different platforms. But it's very simple, requires very little of my time. I have an audience. My goal is to nurture it and to grow it slowly, organically, no paid ads. When it comes to how I sell things, right? I regularly make offers to my audience for people who want more information about working with me. They can reach out and send me a message. I do no appointment setting. I'm sending no messages outbound. I am not doing any following up of any kind. I'm not doing any objection handling of any kind. My goal is for my marketing to pre-sell people on me, on my mechanism, kind of like how I help people, right? Videos like this, they're going to resonate with some people and they're going to go, hey, this guy seems like he might know what he's talking about when it comes to building this type of business. that I want to build. And so then people reach out. And then what happens is I send people a document. And the document is very simple. There's nothing magic about it. And it goes, hey, you might be this type of person wanting this type of goal and solve this type of problems. Here's how I think I can help. Boom, 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 boom. Details, price, time commitment. And then people respond with yes, no, questions. If they respond with no, there's no pressure. If they respond with questions, I'm not going to jump on a call, right? Because I'm looking for less but better. I don't want sales calls. Doesn't mean sales calls are wrong because there's no right or wrong here. We're just trying to figure out what's right for us. For me, better looks like no sales calls. So there's no objection handling. There's no arm twisting. People are either in or out. And then delivery, this is where it gets interesting. And this is why it's been so easy to sell as well, is I'm selling one-to-one coaching. Now, again, keep in mind, if we're looking at business through the lens of more and bigger, going back to a selling time for money model seems like blasphemy, right? It's like, dude, I thought you were smarter than this. You're supposed to have a leveraged group program. Well, let me break down why this is so freaking awesome. Right now, the delivery for this offer that I'm selling is one Slack channel for all the clients. So no individual Slack channels, one Slack channel for all the clients. One group support call a week. We used to have like 6. Now we have 1. I don't create any new content. And I do 2 one-to-ones a month. And here's what's crazy. So far, client results are up because I've eliminated all of the fluff, focusing on less but better. So client results are up. My fun is up because I'm still under 10 hours of calls a week. So out of this whole week, I have so much white space in the calendar to do stuff like this, to screw off and hang out with my family, to go for a bit long walks and things like that. I have so much freedom, right? And then profitability is freaking insane. Right now, expenses are a virtual assistant for 20 hours a week and some softwares. It's crazy. And so this goal of $1 million in profit a couple of months ago seemed like a far off goal. But if I just use round numbers here for a second, this isn't exactly what it costs to work with me by any means. And this is not a pitch or an invitation because chances are there are no spots to work with me by the time you're seeing this. But let's say each client is $2,500 a month, right? Just recurring revenue. They're paying $2,500 a month. In order to get to, and then I have a couple of clients that pay me $10,000 a month, right? Which is kind of a side thing, but that's all part of this one-to-one thing. They're just at a higher level of business. I need about 30 clients paying me between 10K, right, which is some higher end clients, and 2.5K a month to get to $1 million in profit. Here's what's crazy. I'm already 75% of the way there. And I'm sharing the details here to hopefully challenge the way that you might be thinking about your business. Because there is absolutely nothing wrong with trying to change an industry and build a freaking epic business that's at $500,000 a month and $1 million a month and becoming a billionaire and all of that. I have no judgment for anyone who wants to do that. That is just not me right now in this season of life. That doesn't feed into the goals that I have or the aspirations I have. I want a simple business that makes my life better, where I can work with great people, have a lot of fun, have a lot of freedom, and make really, really great money doing it. And I have achieved this by elimination, not by addition, by doing less, not more, by doing smaller, better, not bigger. And so if you're thinking about your business in 2023, maybe the answer is not going from, I'm doing all of the setting and the sales calls, so the next step is to get a setter and to get a salesperson, right? Maybe the answer is not, well, I'm doing all the coaching, so now I definitely need to build out a coaching team. Maybe it's thinking about things through a new lens and saying, how do I build my business around my life and what would better look like? What goals am I trying to optimize for? And I'll finish with this. We have an amazing client who I've been working with for the last 18 months. And he fell into the scaling trap, much like I did, much like many of us do. And he came to us at $100K a month. So this dude was already successful. He's an amazing human being. But the problem is he has kids. And the problem is he really likes those kids and he likes hanging out with them and he's married. And so he was growing at a really rapid pace. And then he was doing what most of us do here. He's improving his offer. And so in order to get more people to say yes, he had software in his coaching offer. He had Facebook ads and funnels, and he was doing all of these things for clients. So then he had to hire a software person and a tech person and an ads person. And so all of a sudden, this business that was really profitable and really simple started to get bloated and more complicated. And for a while, like most of us, he just kept thinking, well, if I just get to that next level, then I can simplify there. When I get to 200 a month, 300 a month, 400 a month, I can simplify and I can get the right team members and I can find the right meeting cadence and things like that. And you know what? He's come to the realization and gone through the journey that I've gone through, which is that maybe better is on the other side of less, not more. And maybe better for him doesn't look like bigger like everyone else. And he has been an example of so many clients that I've worked with and so many people I'm talking to, which is that a lot of people are stuck in businesses they hate and that they feel like they're on the brink of wanting to burn it to the ground. And I just want to, for anyone who's listening who's like, man, I want this better version of business, I just want to tell you like it's possible. You don't have to hate the business you're running. You just have to think about it differently, and you have to ignore most common advice. Stop taking advice from people who want drastically different things than you, people who want to become billionaires when you just want to become a millionaire or whatever it is, and really start to make hard decisions about what it is you add, what it is you eliminate, and what you commit to so you can ultimately have the business and life that reflects your goals. So I'm hoping this makes sense. Even if I don't hit $1 million in profit this year, I'm substantially happier, and I will make substantially more money in the simplest way I ever have than other years. And so the $1 million profit goal is the kind of thing that I'm keeping out in front of me. But honestly, I'm just really, really deeply enjoying the journey. But also, I'm tracking pretty well to hit it as well. So that's very, very exciting. So anyway, hope you're doing amazing, and I look forward to seeing you in another episode.